Hi, I'm Kathy Mills from Short Film Edits, and I'm here with Jackson Tiller for an interview today. How are you?
I'm great. I'm Jackson Tiller. I am a vertical film star. Is that what you
Yeah,
would call us? Um, I live in Los Angeles. I got two kids, which you may hear or you may not hear. Hopefully not.
same with
But
me.
I can
Same
hear
with
one
me.
kind of outside the door, so maybe. But yeah, happy to be here with you, Kat.
Thank you. All right, I've got some questions for you. Um, okay, what's more challenging for you, delivering subtle emotion in a quiet scene or sustaining high energy during action or dramatic scenes?
You know, I guess it depends on the situation because I feel like there are some quiet moments in an emotional scene that, unlike theater, is not full live action the whole go. Like you may start something and then, the director sees something that looks off on screen. He's like, hold, and we have to hold. And then you're caught in this space of trying to hold that emotion and trying to, you know, sustain it while everyone else is living life. Like, do you know what I mean? It's very much like um I feel like if in the vertical world, it's not as intense for the males as it is for the females who have to have these very high emotional stakes in some of their scenes. And they're told to hold and cut, and they're mid tier, and I'm just like, I'm for the most part, I'm a very introverted person, but like when I'm on set, like with the people that I'm with, I'm very, I mean, whatever the other word is,
Extrovert. Yeah.
extroverted. Um, so in those moments, it's very much one of those like you have to recognize that the other person has to lock in, and like
Yeah.
you have to do. So I try my best to do everything to kind of like keep people away from them when they're doing that. For myself, um, I feel the same way. I don't feel like we have it as intensely on all of our sets for the males. Um,
Yeah.
the high intensity, um, that one can be hard, but only like if it's really hot, if it's really if there's a lot going on, if there's a lot of moving pieces that, if one thing messes up, we have to kind of reset the whole thing because it throws
Yeah.
everything off. I feel like in those moments, it's hard to, stay completely locked in sometimes, but it really just depends. And then, you do work with some directors who will let you run through it either
Mm.
way, whether they saw a mess up or not. And then they're like, okay, cool, worked, but here's what happened. I mean, you got to do it again. So, it's kind of a up in the air on that for me. So
That would help you hold the emotion at least if they let you run through it.
yeah, it helps you, at least muscle memory kind of worked your way through it kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, it all depends on kind of who you're working with, so how that goes. So
Cool. Okay. Um, how do you stay authentic and present on set with all the distractions like camera crew and time pressure?
um, I I feel like I genuinely for myself like I love to interact with the crew that's around me because we spend so much time together. And
Yeah.
the same thing with, my co-stars or anyone else, like even like background, I consider them co-stars. So,
Yeah.
I think kind of everyone being on the same level, everyone having the same energy, knowing like, okay, this is what needs to get done. It has to get done this fast. But I think, like us being able to like bounce off of each other and kind of like joke and like laugh and kind of like help guide the day, even when it may be stressful. I feel like that's the biggest relief for myself is just knowing that I have people around me that, we're all on the same all on the same
Mm.
page, and our goals are all the same, and we try not to take ourselves too seriously, knowing that we have you're shooting 12 to 18 pages a day depending on who you're working with, and it can be exhausting. And I mean, the crew works just as hard as we do. Everybody has
Yeah.
different roles and different things that they do, so I think just being mindful of that everyone is going through the same thing at the same time. um,
Yeah.
and I think it makes it easier for the crew too, because I can only imagine they're probably just as stressed as we are in some cases. Um, you know,
Yeah.
lighting, time, water has to be here at this time, like that kind of thing. So I think the camaraderie of a set is really important to myself as far as like maintaining that kind of like piece of balance, I guess.
Yeah, I did an interview with Patrick last night, and he said being prepared is the biggest thing for him. Like going on set and being prepared is the most important.
Yeah. I mean, that, that's, I think that's extremely important for anybody on all the roles, just because, especially for us actors, because, if we show up unprepared and our scene partner is prepared, like
Mm.
we are, we have caused an issue for them and not just ourselves. I mean, it can really throw somebody off. Luckily, everybody that I've worked with, for the most part, has been extremely professional and on top of that. But
Mm.
every once in a while, you'll get a one off that'll kind of throw everything off. But it's also one of those things when it happens, like there's like a quiet acknowledgement amongst everybody else in the room that may have already been there. Like, okay, we'll get through this. We get through this kind of thing. So, but yeah, I think he's right. I think everyone knowing what their role is and what it is that they need to do, probably the most important thing you can show up to set with. So
How do you approach understanding your character's backstory if it's not fully written into the script?
I think this is kind of where we as actors get a little bit of creative freedom. I think we get to talk to the director, hear what the director's thoughts are on these people. Um, Also, sometimes just interactions amongst characters can kind of dictate how someone may think in certain situations. And then also, one thing that I do when I'm learning about my character is I do my best to not learn more about my co-star than I have to. So if it's not written to me, I don't necessarily know it unless it gives me backstory already, unless
Yeah.
it gives me that, which kind of allows me to really hone in and listen when we are finally together and we're running lines. And I think in those moments, there's really eye-opening moments that happen where it's like, oh, I didn't even think that this is how I could react based off of your choice of how you've reacted to me. Um, that one's a little harder, but I do think that like um, me myself, like I like to create a backstory. I like to understand why someone is the way that they are. And it's kind of one of the reasons why um, I stay away from the villain characters in the vertical realm, at least for right now. I think that the villains are just villains to be villains. Like there's no real reason of
Mm.
why. Like in my head, like a villain that I would want to play would be like someone like the Joker or like the Penguin, someone that has some kind of a backstory to where it's like, all right, well, I can guess I can kind of understand why they are this way. Whereas the verticals, they're just kind of assholes. Um,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. This
yeah.
has
So
been a level of conversation in my interviews is the fact that the villains don't get a chance to get a backstory. Um,
no, and I mean, I think there's, I think if they were to come up with some good villains, you have an opportunity to then
yeah.
put some of us lead males in the same script. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I've had a couple people that are like, oh well, our biggest fear is like we don't want to have two of you in a script and then one of you has to lose in some type of way. And I'm like, man, kill me off. I will die. I don't care. Like I've been begging somebody to kill me off in a vertical for a while. So, I think I do think that we're slowly getting to a point where the scripts are starting to kind of come from a place of real story and meaning, and we're just not quite there yet. So
But the Diamond Rose was one of those, I think. Um,
yes,
Very original. It was good. It was really good.
yeah, the Diamond Rose was probably the I think as far as characters in the vertical world, it's my favorite that I've been able to do because it allowed myself to explore and show some emotional range that some of the other verticals don't allow to.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things about the Diamond Rose that I really enjoyed, and I think that it stayed away from a lot of your normal vertical tropes, and
Yeah.
we brought in a woman of color. And
Yes,
I think the whole idea of what the Diamond Rose was is what I hope we all push to go to get to. So
absolutely. I agree. I really enjoyed that one. So,
thanks.
yeah. Okay. Um, what's some challenges that you face on set that others outside the field might not recognize?
Um, you know, I think it would be the memorization of lines in some cases, only because we don't know we usually don't know what we're shooting until like the day before, and
Yeah.
you're given 12 pages of lines, and they're like, show up.
Yeah.
I think a lot of what a lot of the challenges that we come across are there are some platforms that want things to be word for word, so verbatim what it says on the script, and sometimes like what it says doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like we
Yeah.
want it to make sense, um, but we do have other platforms that now are. It depends on which teams you're working with, honestly, but they're a little more like, do you know what I mean? Like as long as you're staying in context and we're not changing the story, like have at it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, so I think lines, long days. We were on set for you know 8 days in a row with maybe one day off, and they're 12-hour days. And I mean that's probably honestly a 14-hour day when you include driving and things like that. And
Mm.
a lot of that can be very exhausting, and not only for us, but for our counterparts and our
Yeah.
kids. I think I'm one of the few that has kids, but yeah, I think I'm lucky. My wife is amazing and really like holds it down. But those long strides where I have like two projects in a row, like
Yeah.
um, those are probably some of the toughest. And I try to I want to be present here, and I want to be present online, and then I have to be present on set. So there's a lot of like places that I'm supposed to be, and sometimes I feel like
It can get a lot.
sometimes I forget. I'm like I need to take a moment for
Yeah.
myself and
Yeah.
reset and that kind of thing. So it always looks happy, but sometimes we're
No.
stressed and tired. So
Sometimes I talk to people, sometimes when I talk to them, I'm just like, just stop and take a breath for like just for a second, just stop. Because
yeah,
you do have that second to just stop and take a breath and just go, okay, reset and get back to it.
yeah.
So,
So yeah, and I'm sure as a mother of two, you understand that very well.
yeah, yes, I do. Yep. Okay. This is a question that I ask everybody because some of the storylines can be rather repetitive. So, yeah, if you could star in a vertical that you would class as your perfect storyline, what would it be?
I mean, if we're staying in the vertical world and it needs to be like a romance kind of thing,
Mhm.
I would say so. Funny enough that we're having this conversation. So I start a project tomorrow that
Okay.
I'm doing with Meg Bush,
Oh, I love
uh,
her. Yep.
and we've never worked together, but the script is so sweet, Kathy. It's such a good script, and it's so unique, and it's kind of notebook-ish in its
Oh,
own
cool.
way. Like it's just very sweet and very it's not tropey at all. Like I'm really excited about it. I think we all are. I think it's very well written. I think I haven't been this excited about a vertical script in a very long time.
Good.
Outside of like Superstar 2 and things like that. There's other things that I've enjoyed doing, but as far as something that I've read on paper and I'm like, I get to do this, I'm very excited about it because I don't I really enjoy the romance of some of these stories, not as much like I think sometimes they take the physicality too far and you get too much of it and it kind of uh wait, what's the word? It kind of dissolves like the the romance of it. Do you know what
The
I mean?
main
Like,
story, yeah, the
yeah,
key,
like
yeah.
I love the build of a relationship and like you see it and it kind of like festers and builds and builds and builds and builds and builds rather than it builds intimacy. It builds intimacy, down
Yeah.
intimacy. You know what I mean? Like that kind of I feel
Yeah.
like that kind of throws the rhythm off and I feel like listening to the fans like they want more stories that are embellishing like full stories and like love and like cool intimacy. Yes, we people enjoy watching intimacy. It's fine. We just don't have to overdo it. And I think sometimes
Yeah.
it's really overdone in some of these things.
Um,
So
it's good to have those verticals that have a lot of that, like, your Dom ones and your BDSM ones or things like that. But we do need stories that are just, like you said, sweet, that don't
yeah,
have that too much. We can have both. Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, I've done both ends of the spectrum. So,
Yeah.
I'm not hating on any one or the other, but if I had a preference, it'd be the sweet side.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. Okay. If you could swap with one of your characters for a day just for fun, who would it be?
Oh man, most of them are extremely rich. So
Yeah.
I don't think I could lose out. I mean, it would probably be Austin from Superstar.
Mm.
I think he is the most similar, kind of has a chill kind of lifestyle. Um, I feel like he's sweet on the inside, means well, that kind of thing. Um, I feel like some of the other characters, while rich, I feel like sometimes the lead males can be very well, actually they can be an array of things, but they can be
Mm.
arrogant, they can be very like absent-minded, like sometimes they just seem kind of dumb, like they're just
Yeah.
oblivious to the world around them, like you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
um, they might be rich. So yeah, I think it would be Austin. I just think that his life, you know, he's filming like real movies and
Yeah.
action movies and stuff like that. Oh, might have gave something away. Don't tell
Yeah.
anybody. So yeah, I think it would be Austin. Yeah,
Okay. Cool. How do you make similar roles feel unique?
that's a good one. Because I feel like I just kind of had uh this feeling recently because with Superstar and then Superstar 2, Austin is very much a very similar character to my own personality. And then I did Matrimony on
Mm.
Viglu, which the characters were very similar on paper. And I was talking to the director and I was like, I said, we have to change something up because I feel like I'm just recurring in the same character I've already played. And like,
Mm.
we really kind of dove into the sarcasm and the the assholeness that wasn't meant kind of thing. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? He's he's kind of sweet, but he's kind of an asshole at the same time. Like, and it doesn't even. I think he's kind of oblivious to the fact that he is.
Yeah.
Um, so I think you know those two are a little easier. Some of the CEO stuff, like they're all written so similarly, and
Yeah.
it does for me. It comes down to nuances, like little things, like how I move, like how I look at people, like maybe how my mouth moves when I talk, like trying to change that, yeah, like even a walk. But the problem with verticals is we don't have a lot of like moving scenes, so, like the
Yeah.
walks, things like that, um, posture, demeanor, that kind of thing. I think those are the easiest ways to kind of shift your energy. And I think once you kind of do that, it shifts your voice and it shifts your delivery. And it can kind of bring its own self to life in some cases. And in some cases, the director's like, "Hey man, what the hell are you doing? My bad. We'll do something else. Let's try something
Yeah.
else." Yeah,
That's
doesn't
not how
always.
it's written.
Yeah, it's like I don't know what that is, man. Okay, okay, just trying.
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah,
Well, it'd be good if you got that freedom to make your character unique in some circumstances where I know sometimes you don't. So,
yeah. I've got There's a few things coming down the pipeline that I think are going to give me some freedom to create some new people. So I'm kind of excited about that. So
that's good. That's really
yeah.
good. It's always good when you get that chance. Like I was speaking to Rachel, and she said she did a scene with Kiki, um,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
they got to just redo like that entire scene. They were the villains, and they a lot of freedom to do what they wanted. And
that's
she said
good.
that was like one of the funnest things she's ever done because of that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of it will come down to writing as well. I think people have to
Yeah.
start writing new characters. Like we can't keep casting the same people as the same people and expect a different outcome. Like it's gonna
Yeah.
at some point it will level off, and people are like, oh, well, I'm tired of. It's like it's why I'm a little pickier about what I choose now. It's like I could do the same thing that I've done 10 times, but I'm like, at a certain point, the fans are gonna be like, we've already seen you do this. Like that's
Yeah.
cool, but so trying to. I think it works all the way around, but hopefully we start to all head in a good direction. So
Yes, hopefully. Okay. What is the funniest thing that's ever happened to you on set?
um so oh, okay. So for matrimony,
Mm,
when the very first day on set, I actually wasn't called until like later in the afternoon. Everybody else started at like 8 o'clock, and I showed up at like 4 or something like that. And I was supposed to be there at 5. I like to get early so I can kind of settle down and stuff.
yeah.
And Chin Chin, who's one of my great friends, he's production house 8 guy.
Yeah.
He's directing it. I walk in and he's like, "Hey man, we have to go take a picture right now." It's like, okay. And if you've seen Matrimony, you probably know which picture I'm referring to.
Yes.
Um, that picture was taken in the middle of a living room with 30 people walking around, moving around. He's like, "Hey man, can you strip down to your underwear? What? Right now?" Yeah. And so there's like two camera guys, and the scripties over here talking, and she's like, maybe turn this way so we don't see so much of everything. I was like, okay. And there's people walking by, like people saying hello for the first time since we've been on set. Uh, I think that was the first time that me and JC saw each other. Hi, JC. So
Standing here in my underwear.
it was definitely that's probably one of the funnier moments that I can think of, as far as like just completely feeling out of place, and at the same
Yeah.
time, like a lot of these are people I've worked with tons of
Yeah.
times. Like, they're just laughing and smiling and waving as they walk by, so that's pretty good. So
And they're all like, oh, this is normal. It's fine.
yeah, like, oh, Jax, keep put some clothes on. Yeah, yeah, got it, my bad. So so
No.